Hi, I'm Supath.
And my name's Ang, and welcome to another episode of Sour Candy. And today we have a very special guest with us who goes by the name of Clive Nyawo, aka Mr. Wakanda Forever. Welcome, Clive.
Thank you for the arousal introductions, and I'm very honored to join you guys, honestly, on this podcast and on your journey with Sour Candy.
Well, we're happy to have you here, man. Really do. So
Yeah,
how are you?
A bit cold, but you know what? That's the weather here in London. You know what? It's cold, it's sunny, it's rainy. You never know what to expect. But you know what? Other than that, I'm pretty good.
Cool, nice, man. Good stuff. So for people that don't know you or have not heard about you or who have no idea who you are, do you mind explaining or just introducing yourself?
Wow. How long do we have? Because
got about we got like good 5 hours.
I can tell you honestly a whole biography about myself, but to just cut it short and to just introduce myself, my full name is Clive T Nyawo. T is an initial for a middle name, a Zimbabwean name called Tino Imbanashe, and the name means we trust in God. So I am Clive. I was born in Zimbabwe. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, and then I grew up here. So having moved from Zimbabwe to living in the UK, settled in London. I've been here for quite a few years now. So this is like my new home. And saying that, I am that person who's kind, warm-hearted, friendly, and who's always looking out for the best in others. That's how short and sweet I can describe myself, to be fair. But to go further into detail about what I do and what I'm up to at the moment, I think that will come down the lines of this conversation and this podcast.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'd love to know who you are, and let's start off with what kind of projects or what are you doing at the moment?
I'm working on quite a few projects at the moment, and one of the big one is called CAPIM. It's a project that focuses on creating a positive impact, and how we do that is by going around through to different communities, connecting with them and collaborating with them. But we use language as a tool of connecting with them. So traveling to different places means that it could be going to different countries and learning different languages in order to understand how people live, understand how people have gotten to their culture. And the main mission around that is getting outside of your comfort zone. One of the best things I've learned is that in order to understand somebody better, you need to know their language. And we all connect with one language, a language of love, a language of smiling. So that's the first initial stage, which is built upon the project that I'm working on at the moment. And then it goes to the language on how you speak, and different people from different across the whole world, they speak different languages. So me, myself, at the moment, I've been forced to learn about 10 different languages because of traveling, and it's been fun. It's been honestly extraordinarily fun, and it's been something that I've always been interested in, and it's something that I do out of passion, out of love, and it's something that I see growing within me and inspiring others on getting outside of their comfort zone and genuinely showing interest around people and others.
Nice. I absolutely love what you're doing, and I think it goes both ways. Like when you do something really nice, or you don't expect anything from it. And not only that, but when you do it genuinely, when you help people to succeed, like you said, I think that's a great feeling to yourself as well as the person you're doing it to.
Honestly.
So well done, man. That's really, really good.
Thank you.
You said you speak 10 languages, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's forget love. Let's forget love. What are the 10 languages that you know?
So let me be specific about the 10 languages that I speak. I suppose 5 of them, they're fluent. And then 3 basic, and then 2, I can just about speaking them in an intermediate level. Do I have time to name them at all? Or
Yeah, yes.
yeah, so
Yeah.
having said that, I was born and raised in Zimbabwe. Our main languages are 3, so English, Shona, and Ndebele. So having grown there, I managed to pick up all the 3 languages. Spent some time in South Africa, so I picked up Zulu. I can speak it fluently. And right now, I can say I can speak Spanish fluently. So, yeah. And then I taught myself Japanese whilst I was at school, Mandarin and French. And then through traveling, I've just about got to learn Greek, which is one of the recent languages that I picked up. And I can get away with a little bit of Italian because of French and Spanish. So yeah, those are the 10 languages that I speak.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
How
impressive.
many languages can you speak, Subhas?
5.
5.
Yeah.
That's
5.
impressive. That's impressive, honestly. Yeah. How about
How,
you?
how about you?
Just 3 at the moment.
Yeah.
Just 3 at the moment. Yeah. Yeah.
Clive, how do you say welcome to Sour Candy podcast in Greek?
Wow, that's a big test, especially on the spot. But I can tell you that in my mother language,
Go on.
which is Shona. So welcome to Sour Candy in Shona is Tinokigamichirai Muchirongwa Chedu Che Sour Candy.
Wait,
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, short and sweet.
that is really cool, man.
Yeah.
Really
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah. Saying that you lived in South Africa, you've lived in Zimbabwe, and now you're living in UK.
Yeah.
What do you think is the difference culturally and just in general?
So bear in mind, so some people have got no idea where Zimbabwe is. So geographically, Zimbabwe it lies on the southern part of Africa, next to South Africa, and it's a place full of beauty, a place full of imagination, a place full of people that are cultured and full of warmth and love. So I'm not just saying this because I grew up there or I am from there, but I can say that having lived there and having lived here in the UK, the greatest comparison apart from the weather, where it's really hot in Zimbabwe, is that over there things are a bit slow paced. You get to do things according to your own time. Whereas here, I feel like there's a rush. You feel like you need to do something.
Do you think it's more sort of like more structured here than in like Zimbabwe or back home?
Yeah, back home, I mean, I feel like here it's a bit more structured. And bear in mind, the economic is better here. We're living in a third world space in a first world space where everything is tangible, everything is close to us. We have got the resources, we've got the different opportunities. So opportunities is the greatest comparison or contrast I can give away according to Zimbabwe and the UK. It's like over there's not much, but people are still living in hope. People are still living the way that they're supposed to live, with happiness. And then here it's still the same, but people feel like they're restricted in some sort of way, you know. So yeah.
I mean, speaking of happiness, some people have in the UK, some people have like a lot of money and everything, and they still don't feel as happy. But if, let's say, going to another country like, let's say, Zimbabwe or back even in Nepal or something, where they don't have too much, like, you know, as you said, tangible goods and stuff like that, they don't have the opportunities available, but then they still are able to have that kind of happiness that people here might not actually have. And what do you think that what do you think the reason for that is?
There's a funny quote about happiness, and it goes along the lines of, you can only create your own happiness. And that is actually true, because happiness comes from the inside, right? So people feel that, okay, I need to have something for me to be happy. But if you have your family around you, if you got your friends around you, if you got the love and support that's around you, then I think appreciation is key. So people back home, they appreciate who they are, and they've learned to value the smallest things in life. Whereas here we feel that, okay, if I've got more, then I feel better. But less is more. we need to learn to value the things that we have, and in order for us to be happy, and in order for us to succeed.
Do you also think it's because in Western, or like compared to back home, we take things for granted here? Because like you said, there's everything is like sort of like instant gratification. Everything is always there available. Whereas back home, it's not as available, so you don't take those things for granted. Like little things like, I don't know, could be like electricity or hot showers, those little things. Do you think that's the reason, or?
It's a matter of time, I suppose. Because, for example, just electricity here, it's always readily available, right? But over there, because sometimes it's gas, even water, even food. But we know that if we have the little amount that we have, we generally take time to appreciate it. We generally take time to nurture it and say to ourselves, okay, we are content in the things that we have, and then in the things that we don't have. So people, I've noticed that they tend to live in the present. Whereas here, sometimes we, in the UK or in the Western culture, people try and live far ahead, and then that creates, a matter of comparisons, a matter of anxieties, a matter of thinking too much about the future, such that you become stressed, and that's where problems start to develop. So that's the biggest differentiator about happiness back home and happiness here, for example.
Cool. I guess that you can relate that sort of happiness to, again, the work you do and sort of the lifestyle and philosophy you live by, right? Cool.
Yeah. So the philosophy that I tend to live by is a mission that I personally got to grow into. So my mission in life is not only to survive, but to thrive, and to do that with passion, compassion, humor, and a bit of style. And I try and embed that into every single process and in everything that I do. And it goes down to how I was brought up. So my upbringing was in a Christian environment where I got to learn about loving others. So the golden rule says that do unto others as you would like others to do unto you. So it goes down to respect. It goes down to obedience, obeying people that are older than you, and, loving others without expectations. So it goes down to the philosophy of giving without an expectation of anything in return. So and you can see that it's always like a cycle. If you give, one way or the other, you're gonna receive. So we are what we give. That's how I live my philosophy and life, and which is why CAPIM exists, because it's about creating a positive impact. Wherever you are, whatever you do, you're constantly developing, growing, and changing the world. And you know what? There's a quote also that says, "Be the change who you want to see in the world." And if everybody in this space and time sort of like thinks along those lines and along that framework, we can see smaller changes leading to better development. And over time, we will live in an environment where it's much safer, peaceful, and where there is kindness and where there is growth. So
I completely agree. If you want to change the world, you have to start by changing yourself. And if you want to do something big, you have to get the little things right, get all the small things right.
Absolutely.
Could be like making your bed and then doing another task and then doing another and then conquering the day and then so on. So what you said is absolutely true and something I really agree, and something I understand and tend to live by.
Absolutely.
Are there any other projects other than CAPIM that you're working on?
Yeah, so interestingly, I also like to define myself as a multi-potentialite. So what that means is somebody with so many different interests and creative pursuits. So you can never find me doing just one thing. So at the moment, I'm currently working in a technology firm, and my work involves coming up with business proposals for the technology firm that will allow for that will allow opportunities of growth. So it could be marketing strategies. It could be strategies along the lines of digital media. And you know what? It's fun. It's super exciting because every day is different. And being in a technology firm, you find that you're constantly working with technology. You never know what's going to happen next. So it's like an experiment, right? You're doing the work, but you don't know the full results of that experiment. So that's one of the big projects I'm working on at the moment. Yeah. And aside from that, I do modeling as well. So that's a fun project because I never know when I'm going to get called up. I never know who I'm working with. So I find that fun really because modeling for me is just expressing myself, being who I am and being authentic about it.
I really want to know what's your approach to things, because I know you say you have so many interests.
Yeah.
And not only you have interest, but you have action. You have, you actually do stuff. So I want to know what your approach is. So like, are you kind of like happy-go-lucky if the opportunity comes and you're always prepared, so you take the opportunity and try your best, or do you sort of like plan every single thing that you do?
So for me, I've kind of dug deep and understood who I am. And I'm that person who loves trying new things. And because of that, I'm always prepared. I always prepare if it's any opportunity that I say, okay, I set my mind onto, I want to become this by a certain time frame. I start preparing, I start reading, I start learning the craft, such that by the time when the opportunity presents itself, I am ready. So there's never a time when, okay, an opportunity in a certain field has come up and then I'm not ready. So I always make sure that I've learnt this stuff, I've developed enough, and I've gained the confidence. I think confidence is key. And if I have that approach, then I am actually ready to take off and say, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. And it's gotten me to positions where I am fortunate enough to meet people that I've never thought I would meet in my life before. And I've made friends, I've made family, and I've made a person out of those experiences. The biggest word I can say from everything is I've grown. I've grown into becoming who I am at the moment. Yeah, so preparation is key. I have prepared for every moment, and not only preparing to succeed, but preparing to fail as well. And because through that time, I get to learn and I get to become better. I've gotten to evolve. So yeah, it goes down to the preparation. Yeah.
How do you kind of like, when you do fail, how do you keep yourself motivated to keep on pushing? Because like you're learning like 10 different languages, you're working with CAPM, you're working with this, you're working with that. How do you keep that motivation going all the time?
The biggest thing about keeping myself motivated is that sometimes I feel like, okay, everything is all coming at once, all for me, but I have learnt not to rely on myself. I've got some people or individuals that I can constantly rely on. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be mentors, it could be people that are experts in whatever that I'm trying to learn. So knowing that I can't do this by myself has given me that hope, because sometimes it can get overwhelming. Sometimes it can get a bit stressful and you feel like giving up. But knowing that I can reach out to somebody is better and good. But I always rely on my faith as well, because it's given me the confidence to have the hope and to have the courage to face whatever storms that I may encounter.
So I guess,
whatever.
So what
situation.
are your hobbies other than getting into volunteer work, charity, and just learning different languages?
I've always been into fitness and sports. I really enjoy taking the time to go to the athletics track. I'm part of an athletics club and team. I also play football, part of a team called Centenary Park, semi-pro team. Shout out to all the guys from the Centenary Park FC team. And I also enjoy reading. I enjoy reading a lot of motivational books, a lot of history books as well. And I also like taking the time off to just travel and see different places. I can list a whole sum of hobbies because as I said before, I enjoy learning different things and finding out different opportunities, everywhere. So yeah.
How do you make the time for everything that you're doing?
The secret to that is, if you want something, you have to make time for it. So because I always want, or I have that passion, that drive to get outside of my comfort zone and become better, I've always got that curiosity, if I can say that, okay, you know what? I need to try this. So if I have to try this, I have to make some time. I have to look at my calendar. How can I fit that in? Sometimes it's hard, and sometimes I don't have time to actually sit back, relax, and reflect and assess to myself. But you know what? At the end of the day, I just feel like a different person if I've managed to achieve the things that I've put down and said, you know what, by the end of the year, I need to try this. By the end of the month, I need to have got into this hobby. I need to have got into this opportunity. So yeah, I always write my goals down. I have to write it down. I have to visualize. I have to imagine it, and then before you know it, I'm getting to the practice of actually committing myself into doing the things that I would have said, okay, I need to go for them.
That's really interesting, because just, when you're thinking about a lot of things and saying you want to do a lot of things, writing down is one of the most important things that I've literally just figured out, because a couple of my friends have been saying that as well, because I always think I want to be doing a couple of things like here, there, there. But then when it actually comes down to it, I don't know when to allocate those times. And writing everything down and reflecting, as you said, every night, I think that is the key way to actually get everything done.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you write things down, sometimes it will look amazing, it will feel good, but you need to commit. You need to focus on getting it done, because the best way of doing something is doing it, not by saying it.
You know what? I think one of the key factors that will benefit whatever plan you have in any way or form is getting to bed early, or better yet, having 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep. I think that's the best one.
Sleeping habits, man. 7, 8 hours.
I genuinely think that is a key. That sleeping is the key to, I wouldn't say success, but is one of the ways for you to get things done.
Exactly.
And on your way to be successful.
But then how long is okay to sleep though?
I would say 9 hours for me.
9 hours a day. Because some people actually sleep 5 hours and they're fine.
Yeah.
Because they're
I think it's just for me, good. For this, if I have a podcast like this today, then yesterday I had 9 hours of sleep, because I know today's going to be a long day. I don't know. I think it depends on your sleep cycle, your body clock. There are times where I sleep 4 hours a day, or for 4 hours, and I'm more awake and active than had I slept for 5 hours or 6 hours. I think it's just there's a cycle that sleep has. So it takes you 2 hours for you to have some sort of deep sleep, and then it takes it might take an hour longer for you to complete that cycle. So I'm not sure how it works, but I've read it somewhere, but I just can't articulate it properly. But yeah, that's how it works, and that's how power naps works as well. So 40 minutes roughly would be a full cycle, I think, and that's when you have a proper power nap. But if you have more than that, then it's you complete a cycle and then you just about to start another one, and then when you wake up you're drowsy. That's why people who have sometimes an hour nap versus a 40 minutes or half an hour nap is much more efficient. I just read it somewhere, probably read it, I'm not sure. But yeah, it made sense when I read it.
Yeah, the only problem with me is 40 minutes will just be me trying to go to sleep. And then after that.
So what do you guys do to try and go to sleep? Calm your mind? What's your go-to technique?
Well, I can start off with this one, because lately I've just formed good habits when it comes to sleeping. So I make sure that all of my technical devices are away from me. Or I either read a book for half an hour, and before you know it, my mind is is at rest, and sometimes I meditate as well just before sleeping, and that just kind of like prepares me for the moment when I'm gonna rest, because I was so distracted by just using my phone all the time, checking the tweets, checking the Instagram, checking my Facebook, checking all of those platforms. And, you know, before you know it's past midnight and you've got work ahead of you the next day. So, yeah, I just eliminate all the distractions, because I know that rest is key for me. As you mentioned before, that if you want to achieve more, if you want to be more productive, you need to rest. And the number of hours depends on the day and the activity
And the person
as well. So yeah, I don't know about Ang.
Who's Yang?
Yeah. What social media platform do you spend most time on?
You know what?
Because
You know what really gets me? It's the fact that, you know, iPhones, they tell you how many hours you're actually on your phone for.
Yeah.
That gets me a lot, because my one's always like 4 hours, 5 hours.
You're better. You're better. I'm trying to improve, but I'm hitting 5 hours a day.
That's consistency. That's consistency.
But I think my one, the good thing is that 5 hours sometimes, because I read on my phone as well. So you find that 2 hours maybe it's just reading, sometimes just listening to podcasts as well. But the social media platform that I use the most right now is Facebook, surprisingly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's Facebook.
I think that's probably the least.
Yeah.
Well, I only use like 3 or 4, including LinkedIn. But yeah, Facebook is the least.
Yeah.
I think I'm just mostly active on Insta. Like I'm on Instagram, like scrolling through, just looking at memes.
Oh, actually Reddit. I don't know if Reddit's social. No, is it social media?
Kind of.
But Reddit is where I spend most of my time on, man. Reddit is like everything that you see on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or anywhere else. Reddit has it first.
Yeah.
So like Reddit's like my go-to website for most of the things.
It's like it releases information before it's out there, isn't it? You kind of
sort of like, yeah, they call themselves like the front page of the internet, and rightly so.
I've actually never been on Reddit.
Oh,
You've never been on Reddit?
you should definitely check it out.
I've never been on Reddit.
You're missing out, man.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of stuff do they have though?
Bro, they have everything, bro.
Like what, memes? Only?
They literally have every single thing you can name. Name me one thing that you think they might not have.
I don't know. Like
Reddit has literally everything. They have a subreddit for every single thing you can think of.
Yeah, and it's a matter of filters, isn't it? Like can you filter whatever? Okay, I want news for this.
Yeah, because you have your own profile. You can choose what to follow, and you can sort of like filter your homepage, so that sort of thing. But yeah,
I'm probably gonna go check it out tonight. Well, no, not tonight. Tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Yeah, but yeah, that's Reddit's the best, man.
Yeah. So guys, it's quite fascinating to think about how much time we just spend on the internet and just browsing and feeding our minds with the knowledge and the information that's readily available for us. And it's got me to think, what do you guys think when it comes to the use of internet? With the work that you guys do, has it impacted how you guys have run Sour Candy, your daily lives, and how you do everything, pretty much?
I mean, everything we do is on the internet. Like, as a profession, I'm a web developer. All our stuff lives on the web, right? You asked about Sour Candy. We bought all these through the internet, and like the crazy thing is this. I think this was done in like same day delivery. We ordered in the morning, came by the evening. I mean, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I guess it's the fact that, the way the internet is right now, like the information moves so fast, and also the fact that we can literally record this video and then upload it, like, if we can the next day, and just like people can just watch it. It's just very accessible to people, and just in terms of conversation as well. Right now, like, let's say about 50 years ago or something, right? We wouldn't have been able to kind of like talk on the phone. Like now we can just like call someone back in Nepal or maybe back in Zimbabwe, and then we can just like, have a normal conversation, which like 50 years ago would be just like impossible.
And one thing that I love is it's helped us connect much better, not only to our loved ones, but people and information that we don't think that, okay, is quite relevant to us. We're much more aware of the things that are happening in the world, and we can easily prepare it be for what's happening next in the future or even in the present. And through that, people have personally become better and they have grown. So one of the recent trends is actually training, so personal training, for example. So I talked about my hobbies earlier, you know, into fitness. So people you can easily train online.
You don't need to be physically
you know, in the gym. So that on its own as well. So there's so many things, you know.
I mean, if you're going to talk about that, you can talk about literally how, especially for tech-related degrees or courses, you don't necessarily nowadays, in this day and age, you don't need to go to a uni to study, I don't know, for example, coding or anything that's related to tech. You can, you know, even like design or video editing, all that stuff is readily available on a professional, taught by a professional on the internet.
Yeah, because right now as well, I'm using a platform called Udemy, and I'm learning like Python. I'm learning how to use Excel like properly. Like, you know, funnily enough, like I didn't know that Excel had so much different functions. Like, you know, I knew how to use the basic things, but then now, like, the more I learn about it, the more there is.
The only thing I use Excel is for making tables, man.
But there's so much to do with Excel, like the formulas, like, you know, the things that we learn in, like, you know, school and stuff like that. That's literally just the basics. And when the professionals, like, you know, finding the information is so easy. Like, I can just literally go on the computer and just look at the whole range of like things, and it just it's crazy.
And that brings about the level of competence. So people are much more competent in approaching, maybe, let's say, if you want a certain role or a job, if you want to apply for a certain job, you don't necessarily need to have learnt it physically, manually, but you can actually, you know, learn it through the internet. So like you were saying, the training courses, learning how to code, learning how to use Excel. And I think that's brilliant. That's amazing. But Super, in your case, you mentioned that you're a web developer as well, so you spend most of the time on the internet. Can you imagine a world without internet?
I mean, I've lived in a world without internet before.
Going back in time, it's like...
I guess we were in that little moment where at first we didn't have internet, and then we gradually had internet. Like before, back in Nepal, when I was in Nepal, I didn't have a phone. Like, you know, I still remember the first time that I had a phone. It was those Nokia phones. Do you know the one with the snakes?
Yes.
Snakes. I remember I was in Regent's Park and I felt like such a boss with that phone. You know, I was just playing games like the snake game, and I was just looking around as if, like, you know, I got a phone. But then now you're thinking about it, it's gone so much more than that. Right now we have iPhones from which you can literally video call, which we didn't have that kind of, like, you know, feature before.
Yeah. So what are your memories of pre-internet era?
Gosh.
Or maybe your childhood, I'd say.
I remember the first time that I used a computer. Those big, massive computers, right, with the monitor. And I was just so fascinated. And I was playing games. I was like, okay, so this monitor, I can actually use the keyboard, you know. And then seeing the first phone, it was called Motorola. That's the first phone that I actually held in my hand, and using it and knowing how to use it, and having that flashback now to what I have at the moment. I'm like, wow, we've gone through a massive transition where there is better technological advancement. Things are way beyond what they were before. So for me, I feel like we are constantly evolving and improving the systems that we have. Things are becoming better and better and better. I don't know what's going to be the next big thing that we're going to be talking about in the next 5 to 10 years.
Probably AI.
Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah. But speaking about computers, I still remember in my school back in Nepal, we actually had like a cutout paper version of the keyboard, and we were just learning how to type without any computers or anything. How about you? What was your first memory of a computer?
First of all, I think I'm really like grateful in a way that I was born in that era where I got to experience, you know, like as a kid, just playing outside and not being in front of tablets, like computer, internet, whatever. I think I really cherish and really thankful that I got to live through that. Yeah, like back then, I think we used to have, like you said, like the computers with the big back.
Big back.
And I remember like we used to call up, we used to pick the phone up and call something to dial the internet up, and then, or was it that we couldn't call someone while internet was being used on the computer? Yeah, those were like really early memories. I remember like going to internet cafe in Nepal just to use internet, and because I think they used to have like faster internet than what we had at our house. And then I remember just going there to play like mini-clip games back in the day.
Wow.
I used to like MSN used to be the biggest thing, like Yahoo Messenger.
MSN.
You know, that like even I remember getting excited to write an email to my dad. Like, you know, just having this technology of not having to write something physically and get it delivered physically, but do it all electronically and digitally. But yeah, those were... Shit, I haven't thought about this for a long while. I remember, I can vividly remember myself in the internet cafe, just like browsing the web.
It still hurts me the way MSN just died.
Oh yeah, it was.
MSN just died, man. Like, I remember that used to be the thing back in the day. Just as soon as, like, you know, you finish school, you go back home, speak to the same people, but on MSN.
Yeah.
Very addictive, I must say.
I don't know what that... Do you think it was just the fact that we were so excited by the technology? We were so hooked on like MSN.
I think so. But I think the coolest feature was the fact that when you typed a word, you could have animations on it as well.
And the sound and like profile pictures and all that stuff.
And the timing as well, the fact that it was something new to us as well, we were quite fascinated by it as well. So we were easily hooked up onto it.
Yeah. But then there's been like transition from MSN, I think it was BBM. And then after that, it was just WhatsApp. And then I don't know if like people still use WhatsApp. I don't use it that much.
I use it a lot.
Yeah, I think WhatsApp, I use it more than like text, you know, the normal messaging service.
And the iMessage as well.
Yeah, but you gotta have an iPhone, right? To send iMessage. So
yeah. With that being said, iPhone or Android?
Well,
wait, what do you use? Because you can be biased.
Well, I could be biased, but I'm very fortunate that with my job, I've got a work phone and I've got a personal phone. So my personal phone is my iPhone and my work phone
so you definitely
is
prefer
Android.
iPhone.
So it's 60-40, but 60% I would happily prefer iPhone. So yeah, team iPhone.
Team iPhone here as well.
Team iPhone, super. What do you think? What do you prefer?
Yeah, man, like just iPhone, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing the difference that I would say is the fact that apparently cameras for Samsung is really good, but then they're fun from cameras.
You know what killed Samsung is the Snapchat video quality. I think that just turned so many people off when Snapchat was the thing.
But then just with that small little thing, people would rather have an iPhone than
like
a
people
Samsung.
used to say whenever someone recorded a video on Snapchat from Android, they used to say, was it taken from a potato? Take the piss. I think that just turned off so many people.
It's the quality, right?
So,
It's the quality.
Yeah.
I think I heard that iPhone, like Apple is not going to make any more iPhones or something. I think they're just going to improve, like, you know, the software and stuff like that, but I don't think they're going to do iPhones anymore.
Where did you hear this glorious news?
I don't know. I just heard it somewhere.
There's no source. There's no source.
Yeah, I just heard it somewhere. Yeah, Dendy.com.
Dendy.com.
Try it out.
Yeah.
So I want to roll the years back, and for those who don't know, Clive and I went to the same school, And I remember in like, I think it was year 10 in English, we had to do a polemic where I think we had to talk about something that we hated, right? And I remember you saying you hated starting all over again. So whether that be, you know, that would be any sort of like scenario or case, anything that you'd have to start over in. And I think perhaps I remember it because I relate to that during that point in time. And then you said something about how you came over to this country and then had to sort of fit in with the culture, for the people, with the language, all of, you know, the society. So now, looking at how much you've accomplished and how much you have experienced life in the UK, do you still feel the same, or do you feel like that was something that you just overcame and you don't have the same opinion or stance anymore?
Flashback to that moment in time, I think it was coming from a point of fear, because bear in mind, I had absolutely no one to look up to. I was just in that phase where, okay, I came when I was in year 10. I'm leaving my friends. I'm leaving all that I had behind me, and it was that fear of, okay, what I've lost all this. I don't have anymore. I don't have anything that I used to count on anymore. So what do I do next? And I remember so vividly, you know, saying that it's because those things they are valuable in some sort of way. But right now, looking back and having experienced life in the UK, having adapted and having adjusted and fully settled in, I can say that starting over again is not a matter and process of actually hate, but it's a process of embracing, because it helps you grow. It be starting over a new job, it be starting over a course that you have failed, because at certain times and at certain scenarios become too comfortable. So I think I was at a point in time where I was very, very much comfortable, and I was so afraid of what was outside the comfort zone.
Right.
And now I'm that person who's not afraid of any limits. I don't limit myself into starting over again. I don't limit myself into anything whatsoever. And my imagination is just beyond, and I just feel that I'm always addressed with opportunities where I can start. And whenever I start, I learn throughout that process, and I finish that process, and then I start over again. So it's
Right.
always a cycle. And I'm really grateful because you brought that topic out, because it is hard out there. Some people are just afraid, and I think that fear is something that can hold us back. And fear is something that needs to be challenged. It needs to be challenged from every perspective and angle. And you know what, like anything else, the abbreviation of fear is face everything and run. You know.
Yeah, I guess what you're really saying is like the mindset and the attitude of someone, and that comes with experience. So back then, in year 10, you were coming here, and then like you said, you had this fear, and then that became your mindset and your attitude towards the challenge that you faced then. Whereas compared to now, you have settled here quite well. Even if you had the challenge of starting anything over again, because you have experience now, your mindset changes, and then so does your attitude, right, towards it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the thing about mindset is something that you can always train. It's a muscle group that you can always develop
Exercise,
over time.
yeah.
You can exercise. It's an exercise muscle. So people talk about the growth mindset, and how do you develop that? You develop that through experiences. So sometimes experiences are the best teachers of enabling us to grow and enabling us to learn. And that's how we're going to know. And I don't know about you, Supaf or Ang, whether you have been in situations where you're kind of forced to think beyond what you already know, And to me, it's the everyday circumstance where I'm always challenging my mind to not only limit myself to what I can see, but what's beyond what I can see. So, yeah.
But then I guess it's the fact that, you know, when you're most uncomfortable, that's when you actually grow the most. And for me as well, I feel like, you know, I'm not really good at, like, you know, being in uncomfortable positions and stuff like that, and getting outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I think that's a massive thing with, like, a lot of people as well. We just get so comfortable with just being ourselves and just being in this kind of, like, mindset that I'm okay just being this. But then they, like, you know, not really going outside the comfort zone, and that's where the most growth happens. And sometimes it's just really frustrating as well. For me, for anyone that's, you know, just in that space of mind. What kind of, like, you know, advice would you give to someone that would want to, you know, get outside that comfort zone? Yeah, get outside the comfort zone and just, you know, take that first step? Because I find it hard. I find it really hard, and I'm sure a lot of people do too.
I think the thing is to just do it.
Yeah.
I know it's easier said than done, but you know, you can think, you can watch 1,000 motivational videos.
Yeah.
You can find mentors, you can find coach, you can put yourself under pressure, you can make promises. But if you're not gonna actually do some action, nothing's gonna change. So it just gets to a point where you just have to say, like, you know, I think you just need to get to a point where you have to be tired of your own shit.
Exactly.
And then that's when change starts.
Got ya. That, as well as also having the confidence. So that confidence of saying, okay, I am in this situation, I am gonna force myself to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
So building that confidence allows you to have that instinct.
I also, sorry to interrupt, but I also think confidence in that case is not necessary. I think you can do it, and then as you do it, you can build on confidence.
Yeah.
Because you know, you can't build up confidence every single time and then do it. Sometimes it might be too late, sometimes it might not be too practical, and sometimes it might not be, you just can't, you know, have the courage to fake a confidence.
Yeah. I suppose the confidence I'm trying to mention is that self-belief.
Oh, right.
Because if you can't believe in yourself that you're not going to do it, then absolutely no one can do it. Yeah, because it's the inner belief that will allow you to expose yourself and express yourself externally. And then that way you start to see things happening. Yeah.
I guess talking about confidence, it's mainly to do with the fact that you have to come outside your comfort zone to be as confident as you can be. How would you go about, like, you know, taking that first step? And what would you, like, you know, in terms of advice, what would you say to people that want to take that first step?
So the first step is being honest to yourself, being honest about the things that you can truly achieve and truly do, knowing who you are as a person, knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses. Because at the same time, as much as you want to get outside of your comfort zone and do the things that you're afraid of, somebody was in that position before. So it's easier said than done that, okay, I want to do this. But what's a better way of doing things is actually reaching out to people, or even asking questions, or confronting the people that have gone through that journey. And that way they'll give you that advice and support. Because sometimes you feel like you want to do something by yourself, but I tell you what, we can only achieve certain things by doing them together. But then there's situations where you have to do things by yourself. And one thing that I always say to myself is that I have to try. I have to persevere. I have to show resistance. I have to grow that inner muscle that I spoke about earlier, that confidence muscle that, okay, you know what, I can do it. Having that self-belief. So the confidence, it grows over time, and before you know it, it's something that you pick up, and it's something that becomes a part of you. And certain times you can't do it, but you know what? It's a force of nature that you can honestly continue to develop over time. So yeah, just be perseverance. You know, just be yourself, and you know what? Things and the odds will work. It will work on you. You know. So yeah, that's my fair advice on anyone who's afraid of getting outside of their comfort zone, afraid of trying something new. Look yourself in the mirror and say, what have I got to lose? A lot of people are afraid of things that haven't yet happened. But you know what? You don't know where the grass is greener. The grass is actually greener where you are.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at, what the other person has achieved, you yourself know that you can honestly achieve, you can honestly get to where you want to be in life. So yeah, that's one thing that I can honestly say.
Yeah, if you just stress about things that hasn't happened yet, you're basically putting yourself through that thing twice mentally.
Yeah.
And yeah, what you said is something I do agree on. Confidence is something that takes time.
Takes time.
That takes time. That
You have to
takes
be patient.
experience. Patience. Yeah, I'm not the most confident guy. I might not be qualified to give someone advice about confidence. I know what I know, and like just speaking from experience, just do it and then do the best you can, and then just, even if it comes, it comes. Even if it doesn't, then there's always next time, or you just learn from that and then take whatever you learn to the next experience. That's the way I think, and that's the way I operate.
Yeah, and another thing is, I've learned this over time, growing up, is that there's power in words and what we say, what we tell ourselves, because the body will react according to what we always tell ourselves. So if, let's say, I want to try coding, and then I keep on telling myself, I'm not good at coding, before you know it, you won't have that level of confidence that will allow you to learn about the things that you want to learn. And it's always good to give yourself positive encouragement, speak positive words upon yourself, upon others as well. And that way you will allow yourself to become better and to evolve and becoming that better version of yourself. So yeah,
that's a really cool advice. So for someone, I just hope someone, whoever's listening, might take one or two things from whatever any one of us has said, and just have some value and try and capitalize or like use whatever advice they've understood, which would be good, which would be cool.
Yeah. And you know what, to whoever is listening, just try out so many different things, and don't be afraid. Just go for it. So
yeah, just like we did with the podcast.
Yeah.
Just like you did with all the volunteers, all the charity works, all the modeling, acting, just learning 10 languages.
Yeah. So,
just to name a few. Yeah. So as we approach the end, the latter stages, should I say, of this episode, sadly, just wanted to ask you a question, which is, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Or like that goes to you as well.
Yeah. So the last time. So I'm amazed by this question because this is my first ever podcast. So it's the right question at the right time, and I've always wanted to do a podcast, or always wanted to be a part of a podcast. So being a host, being a guest on this podcast is such a pleasure and an honor to join you on this journey, guys. So yeah, thank you.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So what's yours?
For me as well, just this podcast. I haven't done anything like this before. So just the fact that, as we said, we're talking about comfort zones and stuff like that, gaining confidence. This is my way of just getting outside my comfort zone and just trying something new, trying to gain confidence, just trying to be a better version of myself. That's pretty much what I'm trying to do every single day. How about you, Subhat?
Yeah, how about you?
Shit, I was hoping you would just carry on so I would have more time to think. What was the last thing I did something for the first time? I was going to say podcast, but we did this ages ago. So I must have done something for the first time.
Try out new food maybe, or...
Nah,
Just podcast. Or
Man, it's so easy asking people when it comes to you. What was the last thing I did for the first time? What was the first?
What's the first thing that I did for the last time?
Shit, I don't know. I actually don't know.
Yeah.
Could be podcast, but I just don't want to say podcast because every one of us has said podcast.
Yeah, the thing is, this is not a tricky question because we're always doing something new subconsciously. So it could be giving somebody an opportunity. So you probably gave me an opportunity that you would have never thought you were gonna give me.
Probably try plantain.
Yeah. Oh,
plantain.
for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, you have been missing out, my friend. What do you think of that?
It's all right.
Mate.
Oh, and what's your?
I think it's really nice.
It's more than all right,
Yeah,
right?
it's more than a little bit more than all right. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I need to have some more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And do people from Zimbabwe have like a different way of saying plantain?
Wow.
Because this this thing where some people
say with
say
that.
it in a different way.
Okay, so I think this is personal. People.
Yeah, people actually take this really personal.
Yeah. But I've heard some people say plantain.
Yeah, plantain.
Some people
So what's
say.
the correct way? Did I not say it properly?
I don't know what the correct way
I
is.
said it the way the chef told me. I asked him what this was, and then, I asked him what's for the menu, and he said plantain.
I say plantain. I don't know if there's a proper way of saying it.
Plantain.
Yeah, I think I still remember my English teacher having a go at someone for saying plantain. Yeah, plantain. There was a massive discussion in my school when I was in 11 times. Yeah.
Bro,
about
some
plantain.
people think plantains are bananas, man.
But they're not. They're totally different, and they taste different as well. I don't know about you, Young, if you ever tried the banana.
Wait, plantain's not banana.
It's different, yeah.
Wait, what?
Oh, come on.
Like, come on.
Come on.
You think?
I thought plantain was those banana chips.
Oh, but then they're not. It's different. I reckon it's different.
Wait,
It's different.
It is different.
you just threw me off. Like, are we talking about the banana chips?
You know what? Let's do a quick fact check.
Okay.
Okay, so whoever's watching this,
Yeah.
let us know what plantain actually is, because I'm baffled. I'm baffled right now.
Yeah, you gotta do your homework, Dandy. Yeah, it's two different things.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's over. It's over.
It's over.
It's over. Okay. Oh.
Did you just say okay?
But yeah, it's quite fascinating to hear from Dandy and Superb on their approach to things, from technology to plantain, for example, and approach.
We've had a wide range of topics that we've managed to cover in like, I don't know, like an hour.
Yeah.
It's been a good episode. I've really enjoyed. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you for coming down. Coming down as well as helping us with this episode, with this podcast, with the energy, good vibes. So thank you from me and Ang.
Thank you very much, Clive.
Is
Mr. Wakanda forever.
Wakanda
forever.
Do you want to say something to anyone who might be watching or listening, or where they can find you?
So I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you, Supath and Ang, for dedicating this time to actually, have this conversation with me over the Sour Candy podcast. I really enjoy what you guys do, and I really enjoy the mission of the podcast. To anybody that's listening out there who wants to find out what my next mission is, you can follow me on my Twitter, follow me on my Instagram at Clive T Nyawo. I'm gonna spell it out for you guys. So it's Clive T Nyawo, and yeah, feel free to connect with me, guys. I'm interested to know about the cool stuff that you're doing. And a big shout out to my family and friends that always keep on supporting me through everything that I do. And big shout out to my best friend. You know who you are.
Thank you.
Mel.
Shout out to Gratian.
Shout out to Gratian. Oh yeah, so yeah. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing at the moment without the support and love from the people that are always around me. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you. And with that being said, it's a wrap. It's a wrap to this wonderful episode. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.